welcome back to my channel and another video. My name is Rhett. If you are new to here, I used to drink quite heavily, and I decided to start this channel as well as a coaching business to help people quit drinking, get sober, and live a better life. And today I want to talk about something that I think is known, but it's easily overlooked. And that is alcohol is poisoning. It's poison. And I know you're probably thinking, okay, you're being a little extra, you're being a little over the top. And as I was thinking of this topic and writing down notes, I kind of thought the same thing. I had the old version of myself being like, Rhett, it's fine. Alcohol is not poison. But when you break it down, which I'm about to do, it's clear, it makes sense. We're poisoning ourselves with the amount of alcohol we drink, alcohol in general. Over time, it breaks down your liver, your pancreas, causes heart conditions, your kidneys, and it adds up over time. You know, you may not see it initially, or day to day you won't see it, but after years of drinking, it's going to start to catch up with you. And if it hasn't already, it can cause diabetes, which will further complicate things as far as your liver and your kidneys go. And this reminds me of a guy I met. I was driving for Lyft, and I was taking this gentleman and his wife to some sort of doctor's appointment. And I don't know how the conversation started, but we started talking about quitting drinking. And the husband was just kind of like sleeping in the backseat, and his wife and I were talking, and she was telling me how he basically almost drank himself to death. And you know, the more we talked, the more obviously things kind of like set in for me. Like, man, I'm glad I quit before it got to that. And not a lot of people do. You know, they quit once their health deteriorates so much they don't have a choice. They have to. And for this guy, unfortunately, that was the case. And I remember when he got out of the car, he was pretty tall. He must have been at least 6'5", and he wasn't much older than me, but he just looked drained. His eyes were super dark, and his body looked like, you know, if you're holding like a water balloon and it just kind of like sags to the bottom. From his face, I would say, to, you know, mid torso, looked thin or relatively normal. Everything below that, it looked like all the liquid had just drained into his legs, belly, everything. And it was scary. It was eye-opening. And his wife she had a very interesting demeanor. I could tell she didn't really feel sorry for him. She was just like, yeah, look what this idiot did to himself, you know. And I'm looking in the rear view mirror, looking at him, and I mean, this is super harsh to say, but it looked like he was dying. Like, literally, like his eyes weren't all the way closed. They were just barely open, but I could see the white in his eyes, like, kind of. It was sad. And you know, if you would have told me, you know, when I was in the height of my drinking period, that, oh, you're poisoning yourself, you know, you're destroying your body, I would have been just like, shut up, get out of my face. Like, and I know a lot of people do that because we don't want to hear it. We don't want to hear that something that we do constantly, something that we ingest on a regular basis, is destroying ourselves. We don't want to hear that we're voluntarily poisoning ourselves. In a drinking culture that I mean, people pride themselves on how much they can drink or how messed up they got last night or that they blacked out and they don't remember. And then the next morning, they're in absolute hell, gripping the seat of the toilet, projectile vomiting, throwing up stomach bile because you don't even have anything else to throw up. Your stomach's empty. You're dry heaving. Those are signs that you're poisoning yourself. And trust me, I've been there plenty of times. I mean, I would throw up at night and go back and keep drinking. That's how oblivious I was. I can recall, I don't know how long ago it was, but we were playing some sort of drinking game, or maybe, I don't know, I was chugging a lot of beer. And my stomach couldn't take the amount of the volume of liquid I was putting in myself. Chugging. All of a sudden I felt it coming. I ran I ran away from everyone and just, I mean, projectile. The beer was still cold when it came out of my mouth. And I remember just thinking back to that, like in the moment, I was just like, I'm throwing up. But like, I think a tiny memory just stuck in my subconscious, and it was just like, dude, what are you doing? And I look back to that and just like, that wasn't even like at the time it didn't even register that I was like, I shouldn't be drinking this much. This is like, and after I did that, what did I do? I didn't go home. I didn't call it a night. I didn't drink water. I went right back to the party and, acted like nothing ever happened and just kept drinking. And it's interesting when you think about alcohol as a poison. Like, what other drink, food, anything would you ingest that you knew was going to make you sick? Nothing. I have I've only had food poisoning a few times, and they were all fairly recently. I hadn't had, like, my whole childhood, adult life, never had food poisoning, and I think I've had it maybe 3 times in the last 5 years, let's say. Doesn't matter. My point is when you get food poisoning, there is no way you're ever going to eat that same thing, that same dish, or go to that same restaurant ever again. For instance, my wife and I, this was probably about a year ago, we went to this place in town, comfort food, Cajun style, and I had chicken and waffles, and she had, I believe, some sort of fish, catfish, and everything was really, really good. Delicious. After, like, oh great, we found a new spot, like, let's go back. And I think my wife got sick that night. Not sure. Again, doesn't matter. And then I got sick maybe another, it took like another day and a half after we ate for me to get sick. And it wasn't bad. It wasn't terrible. But after that, like, my wife and I were just like, we will never go to that restaurant ever again, no matter what. Doesn't matter. Like, it was probably the fish. I doubt it was the chicken and waffles. Most likely the fish. Like, I wouldn't even go back to there and not have fish. But with alcohol, those rules, they don't apply, right? Perfect example, you go out, get smashed, drink way more than you intended to, way more than you you should have. And then you wake up the next morning, you're feeling hungover, and what do? Well, we might tell ourselves, I'm never drinking again. Yeah, okay. And then we go back to the exact same thing that made us sick in the first place. Hair of the dog. just start drinking again. What better thing to make us feel better than the thing that poisoned us to begin with? We wake up feeling like shit, probably threw up, and in our mind, we think, well, hey, I know what I need. I know the remedy. More booze. Of course. Not water, not maybe eating something healthy, maybe not, you know, trying to get into a sauna or cold shower or something. Nothing healthy. No. That's not going to make me feel better. More alcohol. Oh, of course that's going to make me feel better. And here we go, down the same old road again. What you're really doing is you're prolonging the hangover for later that day, later that evening, or tomorrow. And that hangover is going to be 10 times worse than the one that you just had. Make it make sense. Anyways, that's all I got for you today. I hope you found some value in this. Yeah. Share this with others that you think might find it useful. If you have any questions, comments, leave it down in the comment section. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you on the next one.